Hi everyone, Caroline here. Welcome back to Career Explorations. Lisa C. is a successful writer who has written best-selling books. Join us to learn more about how she found success in this difficult but ultimately creative and rewarding field. How do you picture a writer? Poor starving scribe, hunched over crumpled up papers, typing away on a typewriter? Well, nowadays, picking away on a laptop. And if he can afford a laptop, many would say he's doing okay money-wise. In Lisa C's case, it didn't start out that way at all. As a child, she dreamed of something quite different.
A nurse. I remember that, wanting to be a nurse or a ballerina.
She tried costume design, but that didn't work out. She even tried, in her own words, bumming around Europe. But one thing she knew, she just knew she didn't want to be a writer.
My mother was a writer. My mother's father was a writer. And sometimes when you're young, you just think, oh, whatever they're doing, that's the last thing I'd want to do.
But as her funds dwindled down, she had a change of heart.
And it truly was like a light bulb went up. I could become a writer.
Lisa came back to the States, where she became a freelance journalist.
And I've been writing ever since.
One night, while watching a not very good movie on TV with her mother and a family friend, another light bulb went off. They could write something better.
And so that's how we started. And I would hold the pen and the pad of paper, but all three of us would talk. And we wrote 2 historical novels together, Lotus Land and 110 Shanghai Road.
Lisa was born in Paris and grew up in Los Angeles. Her parents are Richard C., a Chinese-American anthropologist, and Carolyn Laws, an English professor, novelist, and writer of Scottish-Irish descent. When her parents divorced, Lisa lived with her mother, but she also spent a lot of time with her Chinese relatives.
So when I was a kid and I looked around me, what I saw were Chinese faces. What I experienced was Chinese culture, Chinese tradition, Chinese language, Chinese food. And that's why I write the kinds of books that I do.
Her first solo novel, On Gold Mountain, The 100-Year Odyssey of My Chinese American Family, is about the C family's experiences immigrating and setting roots in America.
People had been approaching my family truly for 100 years, saying, we'd like to write a book or a magazine article or a film. And always my family said no.
Lisa's great-aunt Sissy had a change of heart after seeing a book about famous Chinese-American families. The book didn't include the C's.
And that first day when I went to see my great-aunt, I learned things about the family that I had never heard before.
At first, Lisa thought she would just be getting a few stories for a family Christmas letter. But with more interviews and research, the letter grew into magazine articles and finally a best-selling book. Lisa's experiences as a journalist came in handy when interviewing family members.
And this comes out of the years of journalism. I start with questions that I think, we could call them like softball questions.
Such as their favorite foods and games to play when they were children. From there, she found out more intimate family secrets. Ultimately, what Lisa gave readers was a look at Chinese American history from a unique family perspective.
But if you take one step back, who's there? It's families. And they're actually there every single step of the way, experiencing that history.
From there, Lisa branched out. She wrote murder mysteries and historical fiction. By writing in different genres, Lisa learned the subtleties of her craft. For example, from writing mysteries, she learned how and when to reveal secrets through clues. Working on historical novels, she learned the importance of thorough research before starting to write.
Sometimes I start a project, I may not know everything, but I do so much research that by the time I sit down to start to write, I actually do know. For a couple of years, I'm the world's expert on whatever it is.
One area Lisa has become a preeminent expert in is writing stories with strong Asian female characters. She did this in response to the chauvinism she observed in Asian culture.
And, Confucius, he had some not very nice thoughts about women. He really didn't like women.
Such as this Confucian comment.
An educated woman is a worthless woman. Well, you can imagine how that might strike me.
Lisa has written a number of novels with strong female protagonists. For example, The Island of Sea Women is about the complexities of friendship between two female sea divers, Young-suk and Mi-ja, on a South Korean island before, during, and after World War II.
But for the main relationship between Young-suk and Mi-ja, I just thought every time they go in the water together, Young-suk is putting her life in Mi-ja's hands, Mi-ja is putting her life in Young-suk's hands. So it took the whole idea of friendship and raised it literally to a life and death issue.
To give you an idea how important research is, Lisa traveled to South Korea's Jeju Island, where the Island of Sea Women takes place, to learn more about this matrifocal society. Quick note, matrifocal means mother or female-centered.
I could completely get behind that.
We kidded around earlier about writers cooped up with their laptops furiously writing. And, much of that is true.
It's a pretty solitary profession, being a writer.
But once her book comes out, Lisa has to shift gears, step out of that solitary existence, and promote it. For the last 20 years, Lisa's creative life followed this pattern. Write a book, then go on the road. Sometimes she traveled to a city a day and did multiple presentations.
Sometimes there are 30 people in the audience, and sometimes I think the biggest one I ever spoke to was 1,700 people in the audience. So, to be able to do that in a way that is entertaining and gracious, and you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable, that's something that took me quite a long time to learn.
Some of Lisa's work was adapted for the big screen and even the opera, more opportunities to be in the public eye. On a smaller, more intimate scale, Lisa also speaks to book clubs. She also likes to answer fan questions on YouTube, like what music does she listen to while she writes?
And of course, it's very different music than what I would listen to just for fun. So I would say my number one go-to is Puccini without words. It's really hard for me to write and have actual words coming in the background because I think I would just start typing them.
But when the COVID pandemic hit, all that changed. No book signings, no public events, no open bookstores.
Sometime, I think a lot about, the first time novelists whose books came out last year in the pandemic, they just disappeared without a trace.
There are certainly unpredictable ups and downs in this field. For those of you willing to hang in there and try and get your story published, here's some advice on how to find a good agent or editor.
What I recommend to people is a couple different things. One, to go to writers' conferences. It costs money, but to go to a writers' conference where they have editors and agents who attend.
With continuing concerns about COVID, a number of these conferences may be held virtually. Lisa also suggests checking the acknowledgments of a book in a genre you really like.
And almost always a writer will thank his or her agent. And so, again, think of all the different types of books there are in the world. Now, if you like to read Westerns, the agents who are listed at the back are not the ones who are, selling sci-fi.
But Lisa says the most important thing is, if you want to be a writer, then write.
You have to put your butt in the chair and do the work. And so my mom and my grandfather wrote 1,000 words a day. That's just 4 pages. You're in it through the ups and downs. And it's that passion that carries you through those difficult points.
Tough path to follow at times, and unusual. You may have to look deep within yourself and your family background, like Lisa did, just to figure out if writing is the right path for you. But if it is, and you have the passion and dedication to stay at it, it can also be rewarding on a number of levels. Thank you, Lisa C., for your insights into this challenging, wonderful, and creative path. See you next time.
Hey!